The morning started like any other, but a loyal friend was about to bring home a secret from the wild that would change everything. Edward Harris, a retired veterinarian, found solace in the quiet routine of his small wooden cabin, nestled next to the maple forest near the Toronto Zoo. After more than 40 years of caring for animals, his love of nature never waned. His only close friend was his loyal black Labrador named Cooper. Every morning, Edward made coffee and sat on the porch, letting Cooper rest his head on his lap. Their life was peaceful and simple, with only the sound of the wind blowing through the trees and the golden sunlight filtering through the leaves. This morning, however, when Edward stepped onto the porch, he did not find Cooper waiting for him as usual. The sudden silence was a loud alarm for Edward. He called its name softly, but only the sound of birds responded. Anxiety made him quickly put on his sweater and step out. The damp ground from the previous night's rain clearly showed Cooper's round footprints leading deep into the dense forest. Edward followed the tracks, his heart pounding with a series of terrible hypotheses ringing in his head. Just as he was about to turn back, a familiar dark shape emerged from between the tall trees. It was Cooper, but his mouth was closed around something that looked strangely soft and small. As it approached, the sight that froze Edward's breath was an unconscious, rain-soaked form clutched gently in its mouth, a newborn lion cub. He stood still, eyes scanning the forest wearily, afraid that the lioness might be lurking somewhere.
That's
Finding
a good boy,
no sign
Cooper.
of the adult lion,
We're
Edward
almost
whispered,
there.
"Cooper,
Just keep him
put it
safe
down.
for a little while
Be
longer."
careful, son." Cooper gently lowered the cub onto the rotting leaves, his brown eyes shining with worry and trust. This was a miracle and a terrifying mystery rolled into one. A creature of the African savanna found improbably in a Canadian temperate forest. The tranquility Edward cherished had just been shattered by the desperate plea of a fading life. A retired veterinarian's instincts flared to life. The race to save a tiny, fragile creature had begun, and every second counted. Edward's fear of the cub's mother, lurking nearby, was quickly overshadowed by his professional oath. His trembling hands recognized the cold reality. The cub was barely breathing. Edward had no time to ponder the strange origin of the animal. He ran home, clutching the cub inside his woolen coat, transferring his own warmth to the fading life within. The small cabin transformed into an emergency room, smelling of pine and antiseptic. He placed the cub on the table and turned on the light for a quick check. The strong light revealed its severe dehydration and exhaustion. As a retired vet, Edward knew he had to act fast against hypothermia and dehydration, the fastest killers for a young carnivore. He checked its heart rate and pulse, breathing a sigh of relief when he saw that weak vital signs remained. The tension in the room was palpable, mirrored by Cooper's quiet groans of worry beside him. Edward's critical intervention began, administering a life support shot, providing subcutaneous fluids to replenish lost water, and gently massaging the tiny chest to stimulate circulation. These were not the actions of a retired old man, but the deep-seated reflexes of a professional who had spent a lifetime healing. Edward carefully took a towel to dry the cub, wrapped it in a warm blanket, and placed it near the fireplace to maintain its temperature. Now, the house was strangely quiet, except for the ticking of the clock and the shallow, fragile breathing of the lion cub. This segment emphasizes Edward's decades-long expertise saving an unlikely patient. He stayed awake, monitoring every delicate breath. As the morning light shone through the window, the lion cub moved slightly for the first time, causing Edward to smile in relief. That was his first hard-won signal that the worst was over for now. Edward knew he was only the temporary rescuer. He had to immediately notify the authorities to find the origin and proper habitat for this lost creature. He picked up the old landline and called the Wildlife Division of the Toronto Zoo. His calmness and professionalism ensured the story wouldn't end as a personal miracle, but as a collective effort to restore natural balance. The lion cub was safe, but the mystery remained. How did a symbol of the African savanna end up in a Canadian forest? After stabilizing the cub, Edward made the critical call to the Toronto Zoo's Wildlife Division, identifying himself professionally to lend immediate credibility. Edward emphasized the animal's weak condition, his voice hoarse but urgent. "I am Edward Harris, a retired veterinarian. I found a lion cub in the forest. It looks very weak." He knew such rare creatures needed the specialized care and facilities that a retired man could not provide long-term. 30 minutes later, the peace of the forest was broken by the sound of a pickup truck echoing from the trail leading into the woods. Two rangers, Alex Thompson and Maria Collins, stepped down, carrying first aid kits and looking surprised. They found Cooper lying dutifully next to the warm blanket, where the cub was sleeping soundly in Edward's arms. The sight of a loyal Labrador protecting a young king of the jungle was truly rare and deeply moving. Edward recounted the whole story, from Cooper's disappearance to its gentle retrieval of the cub. He called it the dog's miracle, describing how Cooper used its mouth to transport the fragile animal without causing a single injury. Alex, the more seasoned ranger, listened in silence. Then, a look of profound understanding dawned on his face. He whispered, "We've been searching for a lion cub that went missing from the zoo 3 days ago. This must be it." The revelation shifted the story from a quiet rescue to a high-stakes emergency. The cub was part of an important conservation program, and its disappearance had sparked a large-scale search. For a newborn lion cub, 3 days without maternal care is a near-certain death sentence. Its survival was a testament to Edward's immediate veterinary skill and Cooper's instinctual gentle handling. The team carefully secured the cub in a heated transport crate. Cooper watched, his ears flattened with nervousness, a quiet guardian ensuring his foundling was safe. Edward, the retired vet, climbed into the carriage with them, his new commitment to this tiny life overriding his desire for personal comfort. On the way, he continuously reassured Cooper, knowing the dog sensed the impending separation. This was not just about returning an animal, but about restoring a lost family. The quiet kindness of a man and his dog led to a moment of primal, powerful love that echoed across the sanctuary. Arriving at the Toronto Zoo's medical station, the cub was immediately rushed into the veterinary emergency room for a checkup. Doctors quickly confirmed the cub had no broken bones, just severe exhaustion from days of hunger and dehydration. A doctor gave the cub extra fluids and an energy shot to help it quickly regain consciousness. The tension in the room eased when the cub's little eyes finally opened, followed by a soft, vital cry. Maria smiled, gently stroked its head, and said, "Welcome back, little one." Cooper barked softly, warming the atmosphere in the room. Edward stood beside him, eyes filled with unshed tears, his hand on Cooper's shoulder as if thanking his friend for performing a miracle. The head doctor confirmed the cub was the youngest of the zoo's matriarch, Arya. Word quickly spread, setting the stage for an emotional reunion. The scene transitioned to the zoo's largest lion enclosure. As the gate opened, Arya, the majestic mother lion, let out a soft, trembling roar, a sound of deep, painful longing. The cub, still weak, was placed on the grass. It took a few wobbly steps, looking for its source of warmth. In a split second, Arya rushed forward, not with aggression, but with overwhelming tenderness. She sniffed her baby all over, rubbing her massive cheek against its tiny body, making a deep, loving sound. Her two older siblings joined, lovingly licking the newcomer's head, as if to welcome him back. The sound was no longer a roar of loss, but a deep, resonant rumble of pure reunion, confirming the unbreakable bond of family. Edward and Cooper watched from the fence, their hearts filled with emotion and simple happiness. Cooper sat beside him, his tail gently wagging, his eyes shining with joy at seeing the little creature revived. Ranger Maria captured the moment, a photo of love between man, dog, and lion spreading through the zoo staff. Ranger Alex, moved by the sight, softly said, "Not everyone gets to witness a sacred moment like this." Edward smiled and replied in a low, gentle voice, "Miracles always happen when we know how to love properly." This sentiment captured the powerful and subtle message of the entire story. Miracles always happen when we know how to love properly. The quiet wisdom of a retired man offers a profound takeaway for us all. Edward's assertion about loving properly was not just a comfort, but the core message of the story. It encompasses compassion, the courage to act, and the ability to recognize the value in every life, regardless of species. The next day, Edward and Cooper returned for a final visit to the cub in the zoo's care. Under the golden sunlight, the cub lay curled up safely next to its mother Arya. Its clear eyes looked out at the blue sky, free of the fatigue or fear it had experienced. Noticing Edward, Arya slightly raised her head and let out a low roar, an ancient, powerful sound that was an undeniable expression of deep gratitude for the life saved. Cooper sat quietly outside the fence, watching the lion family, barking softly as if to say goodbye. Edward bent down and stroked Cooper's head, whispering, "We did the right thing, my faithful friend." This moment was not just the end of a rescue mission, but the confirmation of a special bond that transcended all biological barriers. Their story would remain not just a personal memory, but a small legend within the Toronto Zoo about the kindness of an old veterinarian and the incredible instinct of his dog. On the way back, fallen yellow maple leaves covered the path, light glittering among the quiet forest canopy. In Edward's heart, a small story had come to an end, a story about compassion and the bond between species, proving that empathy is nature's strongest language. The tale of Cooper and the lion cub is a gentle yet powerful reminder. The smallest act of kindness can sometimes be the catalyst for the biggest miracles. This enduring bond reminds us that compassion transcends species. The challenge to the audience is clear. What small, seemingly insignificant act of kindness can you perform today? The biggest miracles often start with the quietest steps. Like Edward, we all have the power to mend broken connections. Hit the like button if you believe in second chances, and share in the comments. What does loving properly mean to you? Spread this message of kindness.